alive from this plot people were having to kill and crucify him. God raised him up alive. So they failed to kill him. But they thought they did, and they passed on this rumor, and then people started writing about this rumor, and that's why later on third-hand writers and fourth-hand writers were writing about, what Christ was crucified and so on and so forth. And that has become one of the reasons, one of the most attested rumor in history about a religious figure, for Christ. It's quite clear because we have, writings of the church fathers who were writing very early, refuting groups of Christians who didn't believe in the crucifixion. They had to write against heresies like Irenaeus and Origen, maybe Eusebius and others. Why? There were people who did not believe in crucifixion because they did not think he was crucified. Crucifixion survival is not something Islam brought into the scene. There is a historical precedent already that Christ survived this plot. And the Quran confirms and clarifies the errors that has crept in within the writings. This is why when we look at the Quran is called a muhaymin, a criterion, something that testifies the truthfulness of the things that has been spoken to be true and falsifies the falsehood that has been introduced. So when you examine the Quran, you will see your heart and your mind resonates with the message of the Quran, because the Quran addresses the people of the book. Have you read the Quran? Have you read the Quran? Please do, and you will see when the Quran addresses you, it addresses you as the people of the book.
I don't doubt that there's lots of things in the Quran that would set off the tuning fork of truth. I also think there's some things in it
salvation, everything
that wouldn't. Such as that God is one God and one person. Because I don't believe that. But anyways, my point about Jesus with the crucifixion, one thing that is that I didn't know, and I think a lot of Christians don't even know, and they talk about Jesus dying for our sins all the time. You hear that, like, Jesus died for your sins and all this stuff, which I guess maybe he did. I don't understand all that stuff really personally. But one thing that I was taught that is like totally different that I've never heard before, which I think is really cool, is as Jesus was, he says, I and the Father are one, so I don't say anything unless I hear the Father say it, and I don't do anything unless I hear the Father do it. So Jesus is therefore an exact representation of God. And something about God that is essential in his nature that I've been taught is that he submits by nature. So it's this God that humbles himself and gives you the power, and it's this thing of like bringing into relationship, because he wants us to know him and to be connected with him. And so he submits to us and comes to us and says, what do you want to talk about? All this, that kind of idea, submission.
So he's not sovereign.
He absolutely suffered on the cross. But what the point I'm trying to make is
God sovereign? Is he the Almighty, all powerful?
The point I'm trying to make is Jesus dying on the cross was an example, a really ultimate example of God submitting to us. All these people want to kill him, and he submits to it and dies. And it's just like really, really powerful to be like powerful,
but if you look at this
expression of love.
But if you look at this story here, the story tells us another picture. Some of us, those of us have read the Gospels, he is unwilling. He says, let this cup be away from... No, he says, not according to my will, but according to your will. So he's not a willing sacrifice. He doesn't want to be...
He chooses to go on his own will.
You're discussing dogma.
He says God, he begs God to take it away.
Why? Why?
Because it's terrifying, probably.
Did you not know that already?
Sure, but...
So why is he begging then, if you know you already?
He's terrified, but that doesn't mean that he's not willing, because God doesn't force him to go to the cross. He says, I'm willing. That's why he goes there.
What I don't understand is this. You have a being who is communicating with another being who is higher than him and says, not according to my will, but according to your will. Your will be done. So there is already a hierarchy.
No.
He says clearly, not according to my will, but according to your will.
No, that's not hierarchy. That's submission. That's love. That's a demonstration of healthy relationship. You don't want to
Did he not say, I can of myself do nothing, but whatever I hear from you, I do?
Yes, but that doesn't mean...
So this is a permission given to him. So it's a submission. You are...
Yeah, but that doesn't mean hierarchy. Submission is not about hierarchy.
You are telling me that he is a submitter to God?
Yeah. And God is also
in Arabic language,
to him.
this person is called a Muslim, someone who submits and surrenders their will to God. So you are telling me Jesus was showing to the whole world that I am a Muslim. I'm submitting and surrendering my will to God.
Absolutely. He's submitting to God.
Was he a good Muslim?
But that doesn't
we believe he was indeed.
That there's a hierarchy.
Yeah. So in heaven, do you believe in heaven?
Yes.
In heaven, who would you see in terms of God?
I see three persons.
Who would you see? The Father?
Son, and Holy Spirit.
Okay. And what would the Son and the Father relationship be then? The Revelation tells us in the book of New Testament that Jesus, after he's judged everything, he will hand over everything to God so that God can be God of all.
I don't know much about Revelation, and I think...
That's in the New Testament.
Yeah. I know a lot of Christians go around thinking God's going to go and punish all like the certain people and save the other people. I don't believe that.
So you choose the books that goes against what you currently believe, and you leave those books, all the messages, all the rules and the regulations and ideologies that doesn't suit you?
It's an interpretation of the book.
Not interpretation. It's not interpretation.
What I think is a different interpretation than the interpretation you think.
Let me see how we can interpret a text like this. When God says in the Old Testament, I alone am God. There is no God before me. There is no God after me. And there is none else. Okay. Now, if I make that claim, can there be someone else? If the Father made that claim, can there be a Son?
I is like...
Is he a liar?
I is not we. Is I. If it says we, then you have a room for more than one eyes.
It's 3 in 1 again.
But you cannot have one person saying, I alone am God and there is none else.
Okay, well show me the
It's in Isaiah.
Hebrew.
It's in Isaiah very clearly.
I don't know, but like it also says in Genesis, let's create man in our image.
No, I explained to you, God is speaking in majestic plural, pluralis majestis, where...
I don't know about that.
Yeah, so if you can read the language of the Old Testament and the New Testament, where God is speaking like this. God says to Adam, or not to Adam, in the genealogy that New Testament writers write, Adam is a son of God. It doesn't make him God. So when God says, you are Elohim, sons of the Most High, it doesn't make them God. These languages, as I explained to you, even though they're pluralistic, or polytheistic in some form, but yeah, because God says God is presiding in the assembly of gods. Clearly, it's telling you a polytheistic understanding of God. There's one God who presides in front of other gods.
That's where I disagree.
But that is not what the prophets explain clearly. You shall have no other God besides Him. The Lord your God, the Lord is one. Hear, O Israel. Yeah. Shema Israel, Adonai, it goes on like this.
We've kind of talked about this already, and I believe what I believe, and you believe what you believe.
So, if you were to now wake up in the middle of a jungle and in one day, you had no exposure to any of these religions, would you come to believe what you have believed? In the God that you believe in?
Probably not, because I wouldn't have been taught anything.
So you need this to be taught. So it's not something natural.
I don't think that I believe that what God wants is us to be full of God's essence, of God's life, and I think that's possible without being taught it.
But you will not come to the belief God is a 3-in-1 without being taught.
Maybe I would.
No?
Maybe He would come to me in dreams.
No. That is someone telling you. But by yourself, without any information,
I believe it's totally possible for me to.
Without any input,
God Himself.
Okay. Without any input from anyone, would you come to a belief that God is a father, brother, and uncle?
Yeah, because connection.
Brother, 1 second. Listen.
I think it's possible.
Without any input, you can come to a belief God is a daughter, uncle, and a mother. I can give you infinite number of combinations, and you will say, "How can you?" Because this has to be taught. But look at the message But look at the message that we are inviting you to. The core message of Islam of Jesus, Islam of Moses, Islam of Muhammad, peace be upon them all, is doesn't matter whether you had any input or not, you will come to the realization and belief and conclusion that there is one and only absolute being that you should surrender and submit to. That you can come without any input from anything, by your intellectual reasoning, your rationality.
The thing is, my rationality tells me I can't trust that God. We've talked about that already. That God can possibly act without love, and therefore I cannot trust him.
Who says God is acting without love?
I'm saying your God has the ability
My
to.
God, no. Is your God ability to punish anyone? Has the ability to punish anyone? Can you trust him if he punishes someone?
I don't think my God punishes.
So he cannot punish?
He can. If he wants, yeah. He can.
Does he forgive anyone?
He does. I think he forgives everyone.
Yeah.
He forgives. And he cannot forgive as well.
No, he cannot not
He is
forgive.
all forgiven.
He's all forgiven.
Did he forgive Jesus?
Yes, he can. He can.
The only way to the Father is through me. So what happens if they don't go through Jesus? What happens then?
I think what happened when Jesus rose from the dead is Jesus and the Father and the Spirit. Since Adam, when Adam sinned, then something was broken, and when Jesus rose from the dead, that got fixed. And essentially what happened was the Father, Son, and Spirit were fully united back to every part of the cosmos and every single human being. So it's not about whether we perform right or do the right thing to make God happy. God, it's a story about God coming and finding his way inside of everyone. So that's...
You're essentially bringing the concept of Trinity again to the discussion by saying Fathers and Holy Spirit. Can there be three absolute beings?
But when you said something a lot ago, may I just say?
Yeah.
What you just put in? What Philip just said was pantheistic. What he said was that God, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, united with the world.
That's what he believes.
He said. So let's ask you what you mean by that. What do you mean by united with the world? What does that mean?
It means...
In the beginning was word.
So
He believes God created within himself.
Let's find out. Whether he is polytheistic or not. Or what,
Chapter 1 verse 1.
So I'm saying that before Adam ate of the fruit,
Is there someone making adhan?
everything was as God intended. It was all united, and something broke at that
what is
point.
united? There were many different things, or there was one thing?
Something between God and us was broken.
This is very straightforward. For example, we always discussed about Trinity versus Islamic way of thinking, right? So this idea of unity and difference is very, very central to our difference. Okay? So let's get this pinned down. So when you say
To make room for the car.
the unity between God and other things,
Just say God and man.
what does that word unity mean? We understand what you mean by unity. I can explain that.
I'm going back to Burma. I just wanted to Assalamu alaikum. It's nice to meet you.
Asr? Okay. You can continue if you have prayed Asr. We have to go and pray Asr.
Okay.
Philip? Time for prayers come. I have to go and pray. But it's been nice talking to you.
Very nice talking to you
You
too.
can continue with my brother if you want, or you can join us in prayer if you haven't
I'll
prayed.
join them with prayer and come back to talk to you.
Is that okay? Yeah. Continue.
If I'm around.
If you're around, continue talking to us.
About 5 minutes.
I'd like to